Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about Kazuha coming out, presumably in 1.6. Obviously, this is going to be presumptions slash predictions as we talk about this character. So let's get right into it for you guys. Obviously, if you like what you see, like, subscribe, content, all that good stuff for Genshin Impact. Let's talk about Kazuha. He's going to be a 5-star Anemo character, obviously. Primarily a support, but with certain constellations, he can be a beast from the east himself. Now, one note about his normal attack slash charge attack slash plunging attacks. His plunging attacks are always Anemo damage, all right? And when you plunge attack with him, it will actually draw in enemies. So he's going to have a lot of crowd control based off of the interactions of his E and his plunge attack. His elemental skill is going to be very unique as well here, and it's going to have two forms. It's going to have a press form and a hold form, and this damage goes all the way up to rank 10. At the hold skill, the E itself is a 470% multiplier here, and what it does is it draws enemies in, and then you kind of jump up into the air, and then you can plunge attack, and your plunge attack also draws enemies in as well. Very, very strong stuff there. But on top of that, there's going to be an ascension that we'll talk about later that makes this even better because, yes sir, there's going to be a bigger buff to this through an ascension, not a constellation, but an ascension. So 6-second cooldown up to 9-second cooldown on the hold here, 6-second on the press. Crowd control is the name of the game so far, but that's like every Anemo character not named Zhao. So what is he going to be about? Well, we'll find out right here, right now with his elemental burst and his first couple ascensions here. His elemental burst here is going to be a very big, also another draw in as well, and it's going to have a 8-second duration of continuous AoE damage on top of that. But also, like a lot of the other Anemo elemental bursts out there, if it comes into contact with Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, or Electro, it's going to deal additional damage of that elemental type as well. So, you know, Viridian Inventor set can't lower Anemo resistance, but it can lower Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, or Electro on top of that, so you're gonna get that extra damage there. But the couple of ascensions we need to talk about, because this sounds very basic so far. What is his shtick? He's gonna be an elemental mastery stacking extraordinaire, because his second ascension here, we're going right to the second one. When he does a swirl reaction, he grants all teammates 0.03% elemental damage bonus equal to their corresponding elements. So your pyro characters get pyro damage, right? Your geo characters get geo damage, your animal characters get animal damage, right? Equal to 0.03% of every elemental mastery that he has for 8 seconds. So you're gonna be stacking elemental mastery out the wazoo on this boy. For instance, if you had 1,000 elemental mastery on him and you proc this, you're gonna give everyone a 30% elemental damage bonus for 8 seconds when you proc that swirl. His other ascension here is for his E. When he comes into contact with Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, or Electro, with his E being used, he also absorbs that element just like his elemental burst does, and it's going to do that additional matching damage. So if you swirl Pyro, he's going to come down and do an additional 200% mod attack that is that element, and it's also going to be considered plunging damage, which is very, very strong. So where's that plunging damage set at? Are we going to be pairing this man with like C6 Albedo for all the damage up and all the plunging damage in the world? Who knows there, but this is very, very powerful from a support standpoint, because if you have 1,000 EM on him, a 30% damage bonus, even though it's just a damage bonus, guys, it's not a new multiplier. Say you already have, 100%, whatever your elemental damage bonus is, plus your charge attack, normal attack damage. So you already had 100%, you up that to 130%. That's still a 15% straight up damage bonus. And hitting 100% damage bonus raw is very hard to do unless you're using something like the Serpent Spine, coupled with an artifact set that also gives you elemental damage bonus or normal charge attack damage bonus. So that's very good there. But let's move into some constellations for him here. What makes him kind of stand out at the end of the day? What sort of constellations is going to break this character, as you may be asking yourself? Now, the first one here, it just kind of reduces the cooldown of his E by 10%, which is okay, right? 6-second cooldown up to 9-second cooldown, so it's okay. 0.6 to 0.9 second reduction there. But using his elemental burst also resets his elemental skill cooldown. So you can use your E, draw people in, plunge attack, use your elemental burst, draw them in again, use your E again, draw them in again, plunge attack, draw them in again. You can kind of see where we're going with this, and each one of those applications is going to swirl, it's going to proc its ascensions, it's going to be very good, fun times for your team out there. in Genshin. Now, the second one here is also very good. So when you are using your skills, it increases his EM and all of your party's EM while inside of his elemental burst field by 200. Very, very strong, because also consider himself, he's buffing up every character's damage bonus, elemental damage bonus, by EM. And then he's going to buff up their EM as well, looking like a stack sucrose out here. And then you get those vaporizes in, you get those melts in. Yeah, you can kind of smell what the rock is cooking with this character here. So C4 here is going to be some energy recharge. When his energy is lower than 45, his E is going to generate him free energy. If you press it, it's going to be 3 energy. If you hold it, it's going to be 4 energy. And then on top of that, if you're out there gliding, you get 2 energy a second while gliding. So that's going to help you out probably in the main world. But if you're gliding in the abyss, hey man, hats off to you. You don't care. Waste all them seconds in the air and come back down for that big old KO. And here's the big daddy one, the Constellation 6. So what happens if you have C6? It becomes a little bit of a monster. So when you Anemo infuse with either your E or your Q there by proccing Swirl on someone that has an element on them already, every point of elemental mastery he has increases the damage of his normal, charged, and plunging attacks by 0.2%. Yes, that's an insane. Now remember, 0.03% per elemental mastery at 1,000 gave you 30%. This is 0.2. This is a 200% normal charge plunging attack damage bonus. That is off the charts, the highest thing in the game. Now this is going to be obviously Whale Lord territory out there. It's also going to be incredibly hard to build him for crit chance, crit damage, and 1,000 EM at the same time. There's no way you're even building attack percent on this character with all these things said and done there. But if you want to go out and do that, hey man, be my guest. Now, what do I think about Kazuha so far? Is he going to break the game? From what we've seen so far, he seems pretty powerful, but there's another analog to this character. We already have characters like Venti, crowd control, uses the Viridescent set, boost your damage there. We have characters like Sucrose, boost your damage, especially at elemental reactions. Now we have a little bit of a mix between Venti and Sucrose. A lot of crowd control, a lot of damage boosts. Can also use the Viridescent Venerer set. But there's one other thing that's going to happen so far, rumored in patch 1.6, and they're buffing elemental mastery for certain reactions. So the big ones, the reactionary ones that no one really cares about at endgame right now for damage. So like Overload's damage getting buffed up for higher EM. You have stuff like Electrolyze getting buffed up, Superconduct's little tiny damage mods getting buffed up, and so is Swirl. Now, compared to 1.5, you have the same amount of elemental mastery in 1.5 and 1.6. It's almost 2 times as strong as a damage bonus. Is this going to be enough though? Because those ones still only scale off of your level and your EM rate. So that's going to be something to be settled in the future. Is it going to be game-breaking damage? I don't think so. It's not going to compare to the likes of crazy stuff like Melt and Vaporize for just damage reactions. Those scale off of how much you hit for. Those scale off your crit chance. Those scale off your crit damage. So I think this is going to be a nice little bump, but I don't think it's going to be something super insane. And since a lot of you guys out there, when building this character, he wants EM first and foremost, you have him in that party for the Ascension too. It's going to be nearly impossible to get him 1,000 EM, high crit rate, 50% plus, and then like 150% crit damage. That's going to be exceptionally, extraordinarily, if not nearly impossible to get high stats like that on this character. So in essence, basically, this character is going to be very powerful, but is he going to be a must-have? There's so many other options right now. I know there's only 2, but Venti, Sucrose, they do a lot of similar things. They're both Anemo characters of that support archetype that are there to buff you up primarily, and this character does do something different at C6, even though Venti can at C0 still be built to do a tremendous amount of damage. Doesn't have to worry about the elemental mastery stat, so you can stack crit chance, crit damage, attack percent, tiny bit of energy recharge on your Venti, and he's going to do everything you want him to do and pull out a ton of damage. Wow, this guy's going to be needing all of those stats plus elemental mastery to fulfill his main role. So I'm not super excited about him. And even with that 1.6 elemental mastery swirl buff, that's still going to help out other characters as well. It's still going to help out Sucrose. It's still going to help out Venti, especially with his ult just churning butter every day. Now, if you're looking forward to what sort of timeline you have for this character, the prediction for 1.6 is he's going to be the second banner that's going to be out there, so look forward to that. Eula's not even out yet. You guys got a lot of time out there. More stuff about 1.6, 1.7, stuff like that in the future. Predictions for those banners, when we're going to see them, skins, all of that stuff. We'll have that coming out in the week. as well. So if you want to catch that stuff, make sure you subscribe for more information. If you found this video useful and enlightening for you out there, hit that thumbs up button, turn those notification bells on, ring-a-ling-a-ding-ding, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.